a local radio station like 93.3 FM or something like that, who has been covering, who covered you a couple, yesterday. And the gentleman, both of the people that were speaking about you, they did a fantastic job. And the radio host said that you're in jail. Basically, what he said was he uses his cell phone a lot. Okay, he has like the cell phones you can have like unlimited data, like call, text, internet, all that stuff. So it's like unlimited. You can use it, and he uses it all the time. He uses it so much so that he's in the top 4%. He's in the top 4% of people that actually use the cell phone satellites constantly. And it would be as if he got a call from the cell phone company and they said, "Hey, you're using way too much data. It's not worth us to keep you on the satellites anymore. If you keep using as much data as you're doing, we're going to have to pull the plug." And he said, "Well, that's fine and dandy. So what I'll do is I'll just get another unlimited plan, and I'll have two cell phones. So I'll use both of them equally, and cut down. So I'll just use both of them equally. No big deal." And he said and then he said, what if I did that, and all of a sudden I get a call from the cell phone company and say, "Hey, you're still using too much data. We're going to have to go ahead and imprison you for using too much cell phone data." And he said, that's essentially what they did to you, but you took out your own money. And he said, it's ridiculous. And he said, that's what they did to you for taking out your own money, to where, the IRS had a certain cap on how much money you're allowed to take out, but you were making so much money and your ministry was doing so well and you're spreading the gospel so well that that your ministry, because the IRS has a cap, had to take out funds that were less than $10,000 twice a month because of their stupid rule. And so I just want to let you know that they had that kind of conversation, and I thought that was a pretty interesting story comparison. So.
Wow, that is interesting.
Yeah.
And why 9,500? Why not 9,000? Why not 8,000? Why not 2,000? Why not $1?
Yeah.
If the law says over 10,000 and they now call it under 10,000, well, how about a penny?
Mm-hmm.
This is the nose of the camel in the tent in the old parable, Anyway, so yeah, this is definitely a time people have got to do something. We got to stop this right here, right now.
Yeah, I hear you. It's
only using lawful means here.
Yeah.
And Congress holds the key. They can repeal the law and make it retroactive, and all this goes away. Why on earth do we even have this stupid structuring law? Why is it who is the IRS anyway? Who are they? And why is it their business what you do with your money in your bank?
Yeah.
Why is the IRS involved in the drug war? The purpose is, suppose the cover story is they're going to check for drug dealers depositing money. Well, that's not the IRS's job. Isn't that somebody else's job in the government?
Right. Isn't that law enforcement?
Like, a different cap. Yeah, I mean, is the IRS involved in law enforcement? A private corporation founded in 1933. They are. When did they become law enforcement?
Right. Speaking of the IRS becoming the police task force now, there is a new article that came out 3 days ago. The IRS just came out, what's today? 2 days ago, they just came out, and they said that the IRS now wants to police...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
The IRS now wants to police nonprofits. That includes churches. If anybody were to talk about politics, the IRS, their police task force, would take care of that organization if they talked about politics.
Let me call you right back and discuss that.
Okay.
All right. Yes, sir, brother. You said the IRS is now going to track churches that are getting involved in politics or something?
Yep. What they said is anybody, this is their wording, anybody that uses a nonprofit, that includes a church, a 501c3, they've already done this, but now they're coming out in the open brazenly. If anybody gets involved in political activity, then the IRS police task force will take care of that organization.
Well, this is exactly what Hitler did with his group called the Brown Shirts, that later became the Gestapo. Do some research on the Brown Shirts. They were a bunch of Hitler's buddies from the barroom. They were barroom thugs, is all they were. He gave them, a pistol and a ball bat and a brown shirt and a permission and authority go beat up Jews. It terrorized the people. This is exactly the tactics. See, this is what Lyndon Johnson, when he was senator from Texas, that created the 501c3. This is why he did it, so that you can shut up churches. Yep. Why would a church become 501c3? They're already unaffected, unrelated to the, it's not tax exempt, it's an exception. That's somebody else's battle to fight, but because I don't understand it completely. But yes, this is precisely what they wanted. So this is a way to silence the churches, and they did this in Nazi Germany, and it worked with most of the churches. Read Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the book Dietrich Bonhoeffer, published 1910 by a guy named Metaxas, Metaxis, I think. It's called Bonhoeffer, Prophet, Priest, Spy, something. It's got a long title. But that book is fabulous. Dietrich Bonhoeffer could see clearly what Hitler was doing and said, we've got to stop this guy, and he fought against him. He was finally hung at the Flossenburg concentration camp 6 weeks before the war was over. He fought him all the way. 6 weeks before it was over, they hung him. I was there at the Flossenburg camp, what's left of it, where they hung Bonhoeffer. There's a little marker there. So, yeah, this is exactly what Hitler did with the brown shirts and what Stalin did with his, Lenin and their Trotsky and those guys that started communism in Russia. Mm-hmm. It's the same tactic over and over. They're all learning from the same playbook. And if somebody wants to live under a communist-type country, go move to one. There's already several. North Korea, I hear, has that type of country. So if these guys, if that's really what they want, let's pay to help them move over there. Yep. Don't change America into that. But Americans are too busy worried about who's winning the stupid ball or whatever, and they're not realizing this is your kids and grandkids. It's going to affect them. You better put a stop to this while we have the freedom to do this. This has got to be exposed. The thing evil people always fear the most is exposure. In 2 Kings chapter 6, there's an amazing story where the prophet of God was told by the Lord what the enemy king was doing. And he reported it to the king of Israel, and they stopped the battle. They avoided the fight because of the constant exposure of the enemy's plans. I think the enemy plans...
This call is from the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office.
The enemy plans, in this case, my case, need to be completely exposed. Here's what they're doing, and here's why. You might want to get a hold of whoever has done research on the history behind all this. There's other people, it's off my radar, of what's going on, the real purpose of this. There's plenty of people. That's their whole ministry, is covering the history of America and how their people have always wanted to try to corrupt us with destroying the currency and destroying our country. And I understand, and that's not my real main battle, but I do have kids and grandkids, and I do have a great interest in this. And I love the Lord. I love my country. I love the founding documents. I think we had a great job. And all through the Bible, the people of Israel got away from the law of the Lord, and the prophets would try to call them back. Hey, guys, no, this is what God said. Let's do it. Sometimes they listened to the prophet, and sometimes they killed the prophet. Well, all I'm trying to do is say, look, we better get back to God's word first, and then look at what our founders of this country did, and get back to those documents, expose those that are doing this evil, and stop them in any lawful way while we can. That's what we've got to do. Okay, so, yes, do some study on that. The brown shirts becoming the Gestapo, and they just simply didn't care what the law was. Hitler was the law in their mind.